How ya doing? Temperature, according to the car thermometer, is 1 degree above freezing, 33 degrees Fahrenheit, and according to the Gladstone Weather Channel based thermometer in the car, it's 31 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 1 degree below freezing. I will average it out and say that it's probably right at freezing. I had some moisture on my windshield. It was just liquid moisture, but one wipe of the windshield wipers and quickly froze, so it's right around there. Which, fine. Mississippi, Alabama, and while being amused at it, we also feel for them because, you know, this is above average deep freeze, and by deep freeze it means deep into the south. For us, it's just winter. We know it, we're used to it, we're prepared for it. We'll be over it in about a week. We're almost over it now. But the thing that we can't get over is what our government is doing. And by our government, I mean some of our so-called elected leaders. I mean, we've had both good and bad examples. And that's the funniest thing. In the same sitting, in the same day, we've had the exact example of good leadership versus poor leadership. And the good leadership comes from a person who is the first of her generation, I believe, to be college educated, the first of her generation to be elected leader, the first of her generation really to show intelligence and talent. And the bad leadership is a very typical, grew up entitled, this is mine, government is mine, not yours. So I'm gonna, when the going gets tough, the tough get going to Cancun, I guess. I'll leave our constituents to freeze in the dark because of all of the large utility corporations we've let off the hook over the years and never held their feet to the fire, never made them be responsible to their investors, the public. Not the investors, their board of trustees, but their real investors, the public. Because when you have a utility, it's by necessity. It's not a failure of capitalism, it's not socialism. It is just the saying that, hey, you can't allow companies to have monopolistic power, because they will take full advantage of it and will actually destroy the basis of our society. Look at what is happening down in Texas. That is a great example of that. Now these companies want to turn around and charge people exorbitant rates. And that's not just going to affect people at the bottom. What's going to make a difference is it also will affect people at the top, because when a bottom line is a bottom line, and when they charge exorbitant rates to their customers can't make it, then you're going to start seeing a rash of bankruptcies, because even the big fish can't survive in a pond where all the other little fish have been killed off. I'm going to stop here and get something. I shall be RB. I'm back. That'd be a good place to have a sponsor. I only wish, I could only dream. Maybe Trip Quick will be my sponsor. This rant brought to you by Trip Quick. Well, I wouldn't expect any large corporation to be comfortable with sponsoring any kind of political rant these days. And it seems like the ones who do feel really comfortable with sponsoring political rants are ones cater to certain segments of the population, like the My Crazy Pillow guy. Anyway, we're contrasting different styles of leadership in the face of a crisis. And we're seeing really good examples, actually such good examples, they are almost like signposts. The Buddhists believe, and I'm going to butcher this horribly, they believe that there are enlightened beings who come down from heaven to guide us, and those are called Bodhisattva. And they would use as an example Siddhartha, I can't even say the original Buddha, let's just put it that way, Jesus Christ, Muhammad. They would call these people who are almost like their wisdom comes from somewhere else, almost like prophets, And we are at a time and a crossroads where I think we're seeing one right now who, even without, like in the current political climate, we've seen an enabled, self-indulged, spoiled rich kid who managed to buy access with his daddy's money and his family's money, was able to buy himself access, enabled to buy himself political power, and his response, his idea of setting the tone was, no, those people did not elect me, so I'm going to write them off. I'm going to write their whole state. I'm going to go as far as to punish them for not voting for me. Politician do to show us the way, to show us the example. She literally goes in and earnestly is pitching in to help out. She raises $4 million. Ability and her own power to raise money to be a figurehead to do this. And in the meantime, all the people who've come from money, and let's just face it, most wealthy people do come from money. They like every one of us to believe that they are wealthy by their own wits and determination. No. 80% of the wealthy people you see come from money. They've inherited. They've earned money the old-fashioned way. Mommy and Daddy gave it to them. They gave them access to the best schools, the best opportunities. And what are these people doing? Instead of looking at all the people around them, their constituents, people that supposedly voted for them, as something to believe in and invest in, they run away from them. Oh no! My rich entitled self can't handle the bad disaster. We're going to go on a vacation. Even if he planned the vacation a long time ago, unfortunately he's in a position of authority and power, and I've seen this. Good leaders who go, you know what? I can change my plans. I can do it later. I have to deal with this situation now. And, to be honest with you, I've been in all hands on deck situations. And I've been in situations where I felt like they weren't necessarily all hands on deck. And I've had entitled people lecture me about how I need to give up my vacation, which I can't reschedule, can't rebook, can't change, while they would do it remotely from their vacation spot. We booked an Airbnb, we can't get out of it. Crappy leadership. Good leadership leads from the front, by example. The other day I was telling a kid something, and my kid, was not doing it, not listening to me, ignoring me. I said, you need to do blah blah. Actually, it was yesterday. And the kid, of course, ignored me until I started doing it myself. Oh, I know what it was. You need to rub your hands the right way when using hand sanitizer. Don't just pour hand sanitizer on your hand and then rub it once lightly and expect, because the sanitizer won't do anything. And so I lectured him about it, and he wouldn't do it. He ignored me, looked away. I looked away, wouldn't listen to me. I even say, hey, you need to listen to me. So then I poured some hand sanitizer and started rubbing my hands vigorously. And next thing you know, he's looking at me and he's mimicking me. He's doing the same thing. He's rubbing his hands vigorously. I'm like, that's how you do it. You lead from the front. You show by example. And you don't do it as an opportunity to do it in front of cameras, because people know, they can see, they can tell when you're just a crappy politician or when you are really earnest. And I'm telling you, again, the tone was set by a recent political leader who ran down to a disaster zone because he had to insert eye roll here. And it was a place that he didn't even feel like was a part of the United States, although it is. And it was in a place where they didn't vote for him. And he even said that, well, they didn't vote for me. There's a bunch of Democrats down here. I'm not going to do anything for them. And then he went down there and he made a joke out of it. He was throwing paper towels. Here you go. Here's their little pittance. Get out of my face. Throwing paper towels at people. And that part of the country has not recovered from the lax government response. And there was all sorts of excuses made. Well, it's an island. It's surrounded by water. Blah, 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 blah. No. And neither is Texas an island. None of us are islands. We are not isolated from each other. We are not red or green or blue. We are red, white, and blue. We are purple. We are united. And some people seem to know that, and others want to make a joke out of it because they've never had to be serious their whole lives, because they just got into politics because of daddy's money. Enabled, entitled, rich kids. And we've seen a lot of this. This is sort of a generational thing. There was a generation that watched as schools were being built, and they were told, no, you're still going to be taught out of a one-room schoolhouse with the same teachers. When they wanted to join a team, no, you can't do that. We don't have enough players to make a team. But you know what? There's so many kids being born right now due to the war that in the next group of kids that come in, we're building all of this for them. a matter of fact, I know one of these people. He's the one that is giving me a good example. He's the one that helped build the freaking school in his town for the next generation of Americans. There were so many of them that we had so much wealth coming in, so much better tax base that we could build schools, we could form Boy Scout troops and Girl Scout troops, form teams, and schools will even have things such as orchestras, which was never heard of before, and arts programs. And then, we watch as that generation grew up and had everything given to them. And when it came time to go to college, which, by the way, the government had decided that there were enough people that college should be free. They got take advantage of free education. And what did they do? They said, hell no, we won't go. They said, hell no, don't trust the man. They partied, they did drugs, they did everything that entitled rich kids do. And then, when it came time for them to start joining more responsible generations, the tax-paying generations, when they started coming into their careers, they became the generation of 30-something and the generation of Reagan Democrats, and we're switching sides, and we don't want to pay taxes. Again, hell no, we won't go. And don't trust the government. And you can see where I'm going. And this entitled generation has elected people who are just like them. Their perfect figurehead was the last president of the United States. And look where it got us. Their selfishness. I mean, this is selfishness that has never been seen in America, except maybe in the Confederate States of America, where we've had another type of demonstration of this type of selfishness. My generation, the generation that comes in right after that generation, is the first generation to hear the word no. No, we had to shut that program down. There's not enough. No, college is expensive now because we gave college to people, but they just took advantage of it. So now the party's over. No, there's no programs for you. That we've shut it all down. No, there's not enough people for the schools. No, we're having to shut down that wing of the school now because there's not enough kids to go to school there. No. Now, granted, my generation was probably a little less entitled, but still entitled. And we didn't hear no all the time or often, but not as often as kids are now. We're talking about millennial generation. They're hearing no a lot more often. The economics of this country is starting to shut down, and there aren't that many jobs anymore, and we've chased them all overseas. Again, greed from entitled rich kids who inherited everything, and let's not allow people to cross-train or invest in our people. The whole world is changing, but we're still gonna try and make people go down and work in the coal mines. Oh my God, literally. The last president, he was trying to save jobs for people. That was his goal. That was his vocation for all of us. Well, they can go down and work in the coal mines. Instead of saying, hey, we can get good training programs and jobs and computer science and, where all the jobs are. No, his idea of saving jobs was to say, hey, thank me for trying to send you down to the coal mines where you can get black lung and barely have enough money to support your family and pay the company store. I mean, there's been songs written about it. There are no better signposts. There are no better signs. They are written, literally written on the subway walls, like the song said. And we just go about ignoring it because we vote along the lines of our selfish self-interest. We are not voting on our selfish self-interest. We have been allowing ourselves to be propagandized by clever pundits. Not so clever, because a lot of us can see through it. Only if you want to see. I mean, that's the problem with defunding education, is we're not teaching critical thinking anymore, and people don't think for themselves. They don't look at evidence. They don't examine evidence. They just listen to whatever appeals to their emotions and their fears, especially. Ooh. And maybe a lot of us are not smart enough to see the signposts, but there's plenty of us who are. And we are seeing it. No better sign for where we are in our times than the senator or the representative from New York versus the senator from Texas. A senior senator from Texas now, who came in under a wave of hate and anger and fear. Oh my God, a black socialist is going to give all our wealth to people who don't deserve it. We have to form groups and fight them. We have to storm the Capitol building if we have to keep it from happening. We can't have that here. No, it is not socialism to believe in investing in the people. That utility should be accountable to the people. You know why? It's the same reason we build roads, we build schools. It's called infrastructure. Infrastructure is the foundation of our society. And you know what else they say about society? They say a society can be judged by how it treats the very poor, the young, the old, how it treats the weakest of its citizens. Does it protect them? That is a civilization. Or does it take advantage of them? That is not a civilization. And do you think that you're immune because you've inherited a lot of money? There isn't enough money in the world to make up for these kind of ideas where human beings don't count and don't matter, and all that matters is wealth and accumulation of wealth. You cannot accumulate enough wealth. You can accumulate enough wealth in this new type of society that you want to build yourself a fancy gilded jail. That's it. Eventually, when we turn into a road warrior culture, Mad Max, Beyond Thunderdome, the barbarians will come for you. It has been shown through history, if you read your history. The rich Romans were never protected. They became targets. They spent all their money, time, and wealth eventually trying to protect themselves from the outside world and living in gilded prisons. Well, anyway, it's been fun. It's been real, but it's not been real fun. Ha ha ha. I gots to go. I'm almost at my destination. I got to be responsible and try at least to provide something. So anyway, please like, subscribe, and ring the bell if you like my content. And I will see you probably, it's now, tomorrow morning. Later on tomorrow morning, about 8. And maybe I'll feel like talking, or maybe I'll be sleepy. Anyway, you'll see views of Kansas City. Hee hee.